Let's do this thing. You have to separate yourself. If you want to get to the top and if you want to be great and if you want to find success, you have to separate yourself by putting in extra work. And that's going to be one of the biggest factors. And in my experience, that's one of the biggest factors that I've noticed separating myself is staying later than everyone, getting there earlier than everyone, and being articulate with the work you put in. Yeah, you can kind of just show up. I've seen so many people show up early and kind of just mess around until like it's time, and then they stay a little later and then they get a little bit of extra work. But you have to understand where you're at. You have to have a good self-awareness within yourself for being able to put in extra work. So for me, it was, we'll start with football. For me, it was, I wasn't where I needed to be because I'm a person who's always striving for more. And no matter what, even my junior year, I got first team all conference, but I still didn't think that was enough because there was other dudes that had better stats than me. Or I was looking at it from not a conference level, but a country level. And so I was always looking at, okay, how can I be better? And I'm always asking myself, how can I be better? And when you answer those questions, like I told you in the video earlier, you got to ask yourself these questions. But when you answer these questions, you have to be truthful and honest. And then once you get those answers, you find a way to incorporate that and work on that, so where it's not something you can get better at, it's something that you are getting better at. And so for me, anything that, like any little detail that would come up in practice or in a game, when I'm watching film or something like that, maybe my routes wasn't as crisp, or maybe I dropped a ball when I could have easily caught it or something like that. It was like a virus to me that I needed to get out of my body because I was so uncomfortable with not being at my full potential. And that's kind of how you got to look at it. Like, yeah, it may seem intense, but if you really want to get to where you want to be, you have to think that way. And so put in that extra work. That extra work is going to separate yourself. So I would stay and catch from the jug machine, and I would stay and do sprints because I know I have asthma, and so that kind of affects me here and there. And so I didn't want to have an asthma attack, or I didn't want to be short of breath when the game mattered the most. And there was a game, it was junior year, that I'll never forget because we were down by like 17 going into the fourth quarter, and we actually ended up coming back and winning. And the last drive, I kind of took over the game and ended up scoring the game-winning touchdown with like 30 seconds left. But I was so winded, I couldn't even celebrate because we kept going. It was super hot that day, but I scored and I just laid down because I couldn't breathe and I couldn't even think, and literally my vision was blurry because it was so intense and my asthma was kicking in. And I will never forget that one because it was a great game and it was a great win, but I will never forget that feeling of being so empty. Like my tank was so empty and I couldn't breathe. I never wanted that shit to happen again. So after practice, I would run sprints back and forth. I would catch from the jug machine. I would get extra footwork in. I would work with my quarterback, see if there's anything he thought that I could work on. And you're always getting input and always analyzing yourself, because if you're analyzing yourself, then no one else can do it for you because you already know and you're there. And so you don't have any weaknesses because you're learning and you're growing from your weaknesses. And that's what putting that extra work is going to get you. Like, so many people think it's just going to be handed to them, or they do the bare minimum and think that they're going to get that starting job, or they're going to get that first team all conference, or they're going to get that touchdown. No, it's the one who works the hardest and the one who's the most prepared. That's who's going to get you. That is who is going to get the opportunity. And so really all it comes down to is just preparing for that moment that will come. You don't know when it's going to come, but if you're putting in that extra work, you have that confidence that you're ready for whatever comes your way. If you're slacking off and all you're thinking about is once you finish going playing video games or going hanging out with a girl or whatever, you're wrong. And you're not going to get to that level that you want to be if you truly want it. At the end of the day, you're going to be the one who knows whether you want it or not. So be about it, step out of your comfort zone and push yourself. Really push yourself in any form or fashion. And like I said, you got to have that self-awareness, because that self-awareness is going to allow you to see your weaknesses. And if you keep asking, ask other people. Like, I would always ask my coach, or always ask my quarterback, or ask anyone who saw, like, hey, will you watch this route and tell me what you think? And don't be afraid to have them tell you, like, yeah, that was kind of trash. Like, your arm was all over the place. You kind of took too many steps getting in and out of your break. There's so many different things and so many people that have a different perspective of you. And at the end of the day, it's just learning and growing. You can learn from anyone. Like, even if it's a freshman in high school, like, they could probably tell you something that you don't see in yourself. And it's like, they're young, they have a different perspective. Or it could be a mentor that you have that's like, say, a coach, and he's like, hey, you don't really think about this a lot. It's going to be uncomfortable hearing things at first because you want to have that envision that you're the greatest and you're the best, but at the end of the day, you're really not. And you have to keep that in your mind. Like, yeah, have the confidence that you are and you can hang with the best, but you're not your best because you will never be your best, because you are constantly growing and evolving. And so always dig for more, always strive for more, and understand that those late nights, those extra times are going to separate yourself, and that will give you the opportunity. And people will notice that. People will take inventory of that and notice that you are putting in that work. So they're going to be more open to giving you an opportunity because they know you want it. But if you're just sitting around and you're kind of just waiting for something to be handed to you, then you're wrong. So many people expect things to be handed nowadays, and it's just, yeah, that's not it. So yeah, to be honest, that's it. Peace.